The text came at 4:47 p.m. on November 3rd, exactly 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. Dad, Sarah, about Thanksgiving this year. Diana and I think it's best if you sit this one out. I stared at my phone in the middle of a client meeting. My senior associate, Marcus, noticed my expression and quietly took over the presentation. I stepped out into the hallway of our firm's headquarters, the glass walls offering a panoramic view of downtown Seattle. What do you mean sit it out? Dad, Diana is bringing some important colleagues from her firm. She's up for senior partner. It's a big deal. You know how these things are. I did know. My father, Richard Chen, had always been acutely aware of appearances. After my mother died when I was 16, he'd thrown himself into his career as a financial consultant. Impressing people became his primary language. I'm your daughter. Dad, don't be dramatic. Diana's an environmental lawyer. She argues cases in front of senators. Her colleagues are influential people. You do drafting work, right? Some technical thing? It's just not the same level, sweetheart. You understand? I didn't respond immediately. I stood there, 34 years old, looking out at the Seattle skyline where 3 buildings bore my architectural signature. The newest one, the Cascade Tower, had been featured in Architectural Digest 2 months ago. I understand perfectly. Good. We'll do something after the holidays. Just us. I promise. He'd been promising just us time for 3 years, since he started dating Diana Fitzgerald. None of those promises had materialized. I returned to the conference room where Marcus had smoothly transitioned to discussing sustainable materials integration. Our client, the CEO of Pacific Environmental Solutions, nodded enthusiastically. She didn't know that I'd designed her company's headquarters 2 years ago under our firm's name, Morris & Associates. Most people didn't know. I preferred it that way. Ms. Chen, the CEO said when I rejoined them, Marcus was just explaining your innovative approach to green building standards. I have to ask, is it true you have an AIA gold medal? Yes, I said simply. 2019. The American Institute of Architects Gold Medal. The highest honor in American architecture. At 31, I'd been the youngest recipient in 40 years. The award sat in my apartment, not in my office. Accolades made me uncomfortable. Marcus grinned. He was one of the few people who understood my pathological humility. She's also been nominated for the Pritzker Prize twice, but she won't tell you that. The Pritzker Prize? The CEO's eyes widened. That's like the Nobel Prize of Architecture. I didn't win, I said quickly. The nomination doesn't mean much. Marcus laughed. She designed the Seattle Climate Research Center that won the AIA Institute Honor Award. The Vancouver Sustainability Tower. The Portland Green Corridor Complex. But sure, Sarah, you just do drafting work. I'd used those exact words before. My father had asked me once years ago what I did all day. Drafting, I'd said, because explaining sustainable architectural design to someone who wasn't interested felt exhausting. He'd nodded, satisfied with the answer, and never asked again. That evening I sat in my apartment, a modest 2-bedroom in Capitol Hill that I'd owned for 6 years, and thought about Thanksgiving. My father didn't know that Morris & Associates was the premier sustainable architecture firm in the Pacific Northwest. He didn't know that I was a principal, not just an employee. He didn't know that I'd been featured in Architectural Record, that I'd given a keynote address at the International Green Building Conference in Geneva, or that I consulted for the UN on sustainable urban development. He'd never asked. My phone buzzed. Dad, Diana wanted me to mention, please don't tell people at your work about Thanksgiving. She doesn't want any awkwardness if it somehow gets back to her colleagues. You know how office gossip spreads. I set the phone down without responding. The next 3 weeks passed in their usual controlled chaos. I had 4 major projects in development: a corporate headquarters in San Francisco, a mixed-use development in Portland, a university research facility in Vancouver, and the project I cared about most, a low-income housing complex in Seattle's Central District that would set new standards for affordable, sustainable living. On November 15th, I attended a construction milestone meeting for a project that would become relevant very soon. The Fitzgerald Environmental Law Partners building. I didn't make the connection immediately. Fitzgerald isn't an uncommon name. The project had been in development for 2 years, long before my father started dating Diana. Our firm had won the contract through a competitive bidding process, selected for our expertise in LEED Platinum certification and net zero energy buildings. The building was a statement piece. 7 stories of cross-laminated timber floor-to-ceiling windows optimized for natural light, a living wall facade, rooftop solar panels integrated into the design so seamlessly they looked intentional rather than practical. The budget was $47 million. Every detail had been scrutinized, approved, and executed to perfection. Marcus and I met with the construction manager, the environmental systems engineer, and representatives from Fitzgerald Environmental Law Partners. Their office manager, a sharp woman named Patricia, led the tour of the nearly completed interior. "The partners are thrilled," Patricia said as we walked through the open-plan 4th floor. "Especially Diana Fitzgerald. This building is going to be featured in every environmental law publication in the country. It's exactly the image we want to project." My stomach tightened. Diana Fitzgerald? Our senior partner. Well, she will be after the vote next month. This building is basically her baby. She's been involved in every decision. Patricia smiled. She's very particular. But I'm sure you know that given how many revision requests we sent through. I did know. Diana Fitzgerald had sent 43 revision requests over 18 months. Each one had been professionally worded but demanding. Adjust the solar panel angle by 2 degrees. Change the interior wood tone. Modify the entrance canopy. I'd accommodated most of them because the client's vision mattered, even when it bordered on excessive. I'd never met her in person. All communications went through Patricia or other firm representatives. Project architects rarely interact directly with clients at that level. We have account managers for that. "When does the firm move in?" I asked carefully. "December 1st. 2 weeks. We're planning a grand opening on December 10th. The mayor's coming, several city council members, representatives from the EPA." Patricia beamed. "Diana wants to invite the governor. This building represents everything their firm stands for." Marcus shot me a look. He knew about my father's Thanksgiving text. I told him during one of our late-night work sessions, the kind where exhaustion makes you more honest than you intend to be. "I'm sure it'll be a wonderful event," I said neutrally. We finished the walkthrough. The building was perfect. My team had ensured every detail met not just code requirements but our own higher standards. The geothermal heating system, the rainwater collection infrastructure, the smart glass that tinted automatically to reduce cooling costs. It was my best work. In the lobby, workers were installing the final piece, a large bronze plaque next to the entrance. Fitzgerald Environmental Law Partners building designed by Morris and Associates Principal Architect. Sarah Chen, FAIA Gold Medal recipient. 2019 LEED Platinum Certified Net Zero Energy Building completed November 2024. I stood there looking at my name. My credentials. My achievement. Diana Fitzgerald would walk through these doors in 2 weeks and see it. "Sarah." Marcus touched my arm. "You okay?" "I'm fine," I said. "Let's get back to the office." Thanksgiving arrived. I spent it alone in my apartment with Thai takeout and a documentary about Bauhaus architecture. My phone remained silent. Dad didn't text. He was presumably hosting Diana and her important colleagues, showing off his condo in Bellevue, playing the role of successful bachelor with the beautiful lawyer girlfriend. I didn't feel sorry for myself. I felt numb. At 8:30 p.m. my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello. Miss Chen? This is Patricia Huang from Fitzgerald Environmental Law Partners. I'm so sorry to call on Thanksgiving." "It's fine. Is everything okay with the building?" "Oh yes. Everything's perfect. I'm actually calling because we're finalizing the guest list for our grand opening on December 10th, and Diana specifically requested that you attend. She wants to personally thank the architect. We're having a formal ceremony, press coverage, the whole thing. You'd be seated with the VIP guests, of course." My mouth went dry. I appreciate the invitation, but I typically don't attend client events. It's not really my... Diana was very insistent. She said, and I quote, "I want to meet the genius who designed this building. She's been praising your work to everyone. Please say you'll come." Thought about my father. About Thanksgiving dinner happening right now, probably winding down, Diana charming her colleagues, Dad playing the proud supportive boyfriend. "I'll be there," I said. December 1st came faster than expected. The Fitzgerald firm officially moved into their new building. I monitored the transition remotely. Our firm always tracked the first weeks of occupancy to catch any issues early. Everything functioned flawlessly. The smart building systems reported optimal energy usage. The air quality sensors showed perfect readings. The solar panels generated even more power than projected. On December 3rd, I received an email from Patricia with the grand opening itinerary. The ceremony would begin at 6 p.m. Speeches from Diana Fitzgerald, the mayor, and a representative from the American Institute of Architects. Then a reception on the 4th floor with catering by one of Seattle's premier sustainable food companies. At the bottom of the email, dress code, business formal. This is a significant event for our firm's reputation. I owned exactly 2 formal business outfits. Architecture isn't a field that requires much formal wear. We're usually in hard hats and work boots at construction sites or casual wear at the office. I'd need to go shopping. Marcus insisted on coming with me. You're going to show up looking like the absolute professional you are, he declared, steering me into a boutique in downtown Seattle. None of this, I'll just wear the black pantsuit I bought in 2018 nonsense. I ended up with a tailored navy dress and blazer, expensive but understated. Professional. The kind of outfit that said, I belong here without screaming for attention. On December 9th, the day before the event, Dad texted. Dad, Diana's firm is having a big grand opening tomorrow for their new building. Very fancy event. Governor might be there. She's nervous but excited. I stared at the message for a full minute. Me, that's nice. Dad, she's worked so hard for this senior partnership. This building is going to seal the deal. Some kind of environmental showcase. Very impressive. Me, I'm sure it is. Dad, anyway, just wanted to share. Hope work is going well for you. We should really get lunch sometime soon. I didn't respond. That night I barely slept. I kept imagining different scenarios. Diana seeing my name on the plaque and not making the connection. Chen is a common name. Diana making the connection but not caring. Diana making the connection and feeling embarrassed. That last option seemed most likely and most satisfying, and I felt guilty for feeling satisfied. I didn't want to be vindictive. I just wanted to be seen. December 10th arrived cold and clear. Seattle winter at its most beautiful. Sharp air, blue sky, the city lights already twinkling even though it was only 4 p.m. I dressed carefully. The navy outfit looked good. Professional. I wore minimal jewelry. Just the simple gold watch my mother had given me for my 16th birthday, 2 months before she died. I pulled my hair back into a low bun. Light makeup. I looked like exactly what I was. A successful architect attending a professional event. Marcus met me at my apartment. He'd insisted on coming as my +1, even though the invitation was for me alone. Moral support, he'd said. And I want to see the look on this woman's face. We arrived at 5:45 p.m. The building looked stunning in the evening light, the facade illuminated by carefully designed external lighting that highlighted the timber construction and living wall. A red carpet led to the entrance where 2 young associates from the Fitzgerald firm checked names against a guest list. Sarah Chen, I said. The associate's eyes widened. Miss Chen? Yes, of course. You're seated at the head table. Please come in. Diana has been asking about you all day. The lobby was transformed. The harsh construction lighting had been replaced with warm ambient light. The polished concrete floors gleamed. White-clothed cocktail tables dotted the space, already filling with guests in formal attire. I recognized the mayor talking with a city council member. Several faces from the Seattle architecture community. Press photographers moving through the crowd. And there, near the center of the lobby, stood my father and Diana Fitzgerald. Diana was tall, mid-40s, with perfectly highlighted blonde hair and the kind of polished appearance that came from years of courtroom presentations. She wore a deep green dress that probably cost more than my entire outfit. She laughed at something the mayor said, touching his arm lightly, the perfect political gesture. My father stood beside her, beaming. He wore a suit I'd never seen before. Expensive, perfectly tailored. He looked proud. Happy. He hadn't seen me yet. Marcus touched my elbow. You want to get a drink first? Yeah. We moved to the bar set up along the side wall. I ordered a gin and tonic, though I had no intention of drinking much. I needed to stay sharp. Sarah Chen. I turned. A woman in her 50s approached, smiling warmly. I recognized her immediately. Judith Morrison, president of the AIA Seattle chapter. Judith. It's good to see you. I should have known you designed this building. It has your fingerprints all over it. The integration of function and beauty, the absolute commitment to sustainability without sacrificing aesthetics. She gestured around the lobby. This is going to win awards. You know that, right? The team did excellent work. The team you led. Judith smiled knowingly. I'm presenting you with the AIA Seattle Medal of Honor in February. Consider this your advance notice. Please don't try to decline. Before I could respond, Patricia appeared at my elbow. Miss Chen, Diana is ready to meet you. Would you mind coming over? We're starting the formal program in 10 minutes. My heart rate picked up. Marcus gave me an encouraging nod. I followed Patricia through the crowd. As we approached, I saw my father notice Patricia first, then shift his attention to me. His expression went from polite interest to confusion to shock in about 3 seconds. Sarah, he said. What are you doing here? Diana turned, her professional smile in place. Richard, you know Miss Chen? This is my daughter, Dad said, still looking confused. Sarah, what? Your daughter. Diana's smile faltered slightly. I don't understand. Miss Chen is the architect who designed our building. The silence that followed lasted maybe 3 seconds but felt like an hour. Diana looked at me. Really looked at me. Then at the bronze plaque on the wall 10 feet away. Then back at me. You're Sarah Chen, she said slowly. The Sarah Chen. Principal architect at Morris & Associates. AIA Gold Medal recipient. Yes, I said simply. My father's face had gone pale. You designed this building? I led the design team, yes. Diana's expression cycled through several emotions rapidly. Confusion, realization, embarrassment, horror. But Richard said you worked in drafting. He said it was technical work. Administrative. I do drafting, I said. That's part of architecture. Among other things. The mayor chose that moment to join our group. Diana, wonderful event. And you must be Sarah Chen. I've been looking forward to meeting you. The Climate Research Center you designed has been instrumental in our city's sustainability initiatives. He extended his hand. I shook it. Thank you, Mayor Harrell. Your work on affordable housing is exactly what Seattle needs right now. I understand you're developing a project in the Central District. Yes. We're hoping to break ground in March. Excellent, excellent. Diana, you picked the best architect in the city. He clapped Diana on the shoulder and moved on to greet other guests. Diana stood very still. Her carefully maintained composure was cracking at the edges. My father looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. I think, Diana said carefully, Richard and I need to have a conversation. Excuse me. She walked away quickly, heading toward the back hallway that led to the firm's private offices. My father followed, his shoulders hunched in a way I'd never seen before. Marcus appeared at my side. Holy shit, he whispered. That was better than I imagined. Patricia returned, oblivious to the tension. We're ready to start. Miss Chen, you're at the head table right up front. The ceremony began at 6:15 p.m. I sat at a table near the podium with Judith Morrison, 2 city council members, the AIA representative and the construction company CEO. My father and Diana were nowhere to be seen. Patricia gave opening remarks, thanking everyone for coming. Then Diana was supposed to speak, but Patricia had to improvise. Diana has been temporarily detained with an urgent matter. While we wait, I'd like to invite our architect, Sarah Chen, to say a few words about the building. This wasn't planned. I hadn't prepared anything. But I stood and walked to the podium anyway. 200 faces looked at me expectantly. Press cameras focused in my direction. Thank you all for coming tonight, I began. My voice came out steady. This building represents 2 years of collaboration between Morris & Associates, Fitzgerald Environmental Law Partners, the construction team at Patterson Construction, and dozens of engineers, consultants, and craftspeople. Our goal was to create a space that embodied environmental law in its very structure. A building that doesn't just house environmental advocates but demonstrates environmental stewardship in every material choice, every system, every design decision. I talked about the cross-laminated timber that sequestered carbon rather than releasing it. The geothermal system that eliminated fossil fuel heating. The rainwater collection that reduced municipal water demand by 70%. The solar panels that generated 105% of the building's energy needs. I didn't talk about the 43 revision requests. I didn't mention that I'd never met Diana before tonight. I kept it professional, focused on the work. When I finished, the applause was genuine and warm. I returned to my seat. 5 minutes later, Diana emerged from the back hallway. She'd reapplied her makeup, but her eyes were red. She walked to the podium with her shoulders back, every inch the senior partner she aspired to be. "Thank you all for your patience," she said, her voice only slightly tight. "Tonight is about celebrating a building that represents everything our firm stands for. And I'd like to take a moment to specifically recognize the brilliant architect who brought our vision to life, Sarah Chen." She gestured to me. More applause. I nodded slightly. Diana continued her speech, hitting all the planned points about environmental law, sustainability, the firm's commitment to practicing what they preach. She was good at this, polished, persuasive, compelling. I could see why she was up for senior partner. But she kept glancing at me. And I noticed she never mentioned my father, who had reappeared and was sitting at a table in the back corner, looking miserable. After Diana, the mayor spoke. Then the AIA representative gave brief remarks about sustainable design. Then Patricia announced that the reception was open and invited everyone to the 4th floor. I tried to slip out quietly. I'd fulfilled my obligation. I'd attended the event, been recognized, represented my firm professionally. Now I could leave. "Sarah, wait." Diana's voice. I turned. She stood alone, her colleagues already heading upstairs to the reception. Up close, I could see the strain on her face. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Privately." I hesitated, then nodded. She led me to a small conference room off the main lobby. We sat across from each other at a table designed for 8. "I owe you an apology," Diana said. "Several apologies, actually. But first, why didn't you tell me? When I sent all those revision requests, when we communicated through Patricia, why didn't you ever mention that you were Richard's daughter?" "You never asked," I said. "And it wasn't relevant to the project. You were the client. I was the architect. Our personal connections don't matter when we're working." "But if I'd known, what would have changed?" I asked. "Would you have treated the project differently? Would you have sent fewer revision requests?" Diana flinched. "Probably not. But I would have. I would have at least acknowledged who you were. The way you acknowledged me at Thanksgiving?" Her face went red. "Richard told me tonight that he uninvited you from Thanksgiving. He said he told you I thought you weren't, that your work wasn't." She closed her eyes. "I didn't ask him to do that. He did it on his own, trying to impress me. Trying to make everything seem perfect. He told me you were too important to meet someone who did drafting work." "I'm so sorry." Diana's voice cracked slightly. "I had no idea. He talked about you sometimes, but he always said you worked in some technical field he didn't really understand. I assumed you were, I don't know, an IT person, a CAD operator. I never imagined that his daughter designed the building you're using to secure your partnership." Diana laughed, but it was bitter. "The irony isn't lost on me. I've been bragging about this building for months, showing pictures to everyone, telling them about the brilliant architect who designed it. And the entire time Richard was sitting next to me, nodding along, never once mentioning that the architect was his daughter." "He didn't know," I said. "I never told him what I actually do. He never asked." Diana looked at me for a long moment. "That's worse somehow. That he never asked." We sat in silence. From upstairs I could hear the reception in full swing. Music, laughter, the hum of successful networking. "I need to end it with Richard," Diana said finally. "I can't be with someone who treats their child like that. Who's so self-absorbed that they don't even know their own daughter is one of the most accomplished architects in the region. And who tried to hide you from me to make himself look better." She stood. "For what it's worth, this building is magnificent. You're extraordinarily talented. And I'm horrified that I participated even unknowingly in diminishing you." She left the conference room. I sat there alone for another minute, processing. When I emerged, Marcus was waiting in the lobby. "Ready to go?" "Actually," I said, "I think I'll stay for the reception. We should celebrate the project. The team deserves it." We headed upstairs. The fourth floor was packed with people admiring the open workspace design, the natural light, the living wall visible through the windows. Several colleagues from other architecture firms found me and offered congratulations. Judith Morrison introduced me to the governor, who'd arrived late. At 8:30 p.m. I saw my father standing alone near the windows, holding an untouched glass of wine. I walked over. "Sarah," he said immediately. "I don't know what to say. You could start with the truth. When did you realize?" "Tonight. When Diana said your name. And then I saw the plaque and I thought there must be some mistake. That couldn't be my daughter." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I'm an idiot." "Yes," I agreed. He flinched. "I thought I was helping you. By not inviting you to Thanksgiving. I thought it would be awkward having you there with Diana's colleagues, all these successful lawyers and professionals. I didn't want you to feel less than. So you made me feel excluded instead. Unwanted. I know. Diana's already told me how badly I screwed up. She's ending things with me." He looked at me with something that might have been desperation. "She called me 7 times tonight after she found out. I stopped answering after the third one because I couldn't handle hearing how disappointed she was in me. How could I not know? How could I not ask? What kind of father doesn't know what his daughter does? The kind who stopped paying attention 16 years ago when Mom died," I said quietly. His face crumpled. "That's not fair. Isn't it? When was the last time you asked me about my work? My life? Anything beyond surface-level pleasantries?" I don't know. I won an AIA gold medal 3 years ago, Dad. The highest honor in American architecture. I was the youngest recipient in 40 years. I gave an acceptance speech in front of 800 people. You weren't there. You didn't even know about it. You didn't invite me. I sent you an invitation. You said you were busy with a client conference in Phoenix. You said you'd take me to dinner to celebrate when you got back. We never went to dinner." He stood there silent because there was nothing he could say to that. "I designed 3 of the buildings you can see from your condo in Bellevue," I continued. "I've been featured in Architectural Digest, Architectural Record, Dwell magazine. I consult for the United Nations. I have a waiting list of clients 2 years long. And you thought I did drafting." "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I know you are. But sorry doesn't fix 16 years of not seeing me." I walked away. Marcus met me near the elevator. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I really am." The story broke in the Seattle Architecture Press the next day. Not about my father. That was private. But about the Fitzgerald Building, the young female architect, the innovative sustainable design. The Seattle Times ran a feature. The architecture blogs picked it up. By the end of the week, I'd received interview requests from 6 national publications. Diana Fitzgerald sent me a formal email thanking me for my work and requesting permission to use images of the building in the firm's marketing materials. She included a personal note at the bottom. "I ended things with Richard. He needs to figure out how to be a better father before he tries to be anyone's partner. I hope someday you can forgive him. More importantly, I hope you continue to create buildings that make the world better. You're exceptional." My father called me 4 times in the following week. I didn't answer. On the 5th call I did. "Sarah," he said. "I've been doing a lot of thinking." "Good. I want to start over. Not erase what happened, I know I can't do that. But start building something new. If you'll let me." "What does that look like?" I asked. "I don't know yet. Maybe you could tell me about your work. Really tell me. I could come to your office, see your projects, meet your colleagues. I could learn who you actually are instead of who I assumed you were." "That's going to take time, Dad." "I know. I have time. However long you need." We talked for another 20 minutes. It was awkward, halting, filled with long pauses. But it was a start. 3 weeks later he came to my office. Marcus gave him a comprehensive tour while I was at a site visit. When I returned, Dad was sitting in our conference room looking at the wall where we displayed images of completed projects. "You built all of these?" he asked. "Led the teams that built them, yes." He walked closer to the images. The Climate Research Center. The Vancouver Sustainability Tower. The Fitzgerald Building. The Affordable Housing Project renderings. "Your mother would be so proud," he said, his voice thick. "I know," I said. "I wish she could see them." She always said you saw the world differently than everyone else. That you could look at empty space and see possibility. He turned to me. I should have paid attention. I should have looked. You're looking now. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was something. 6 months later, I attended the AIA National Convention in Washington, D.C. The Fitzgerald Building won the Coat Top 10 Award for Sustainable Design. I accepted the award on stage in front of 3,000 architects from around the world. My father was in the audience. I'd sent him an invitation and this time he came. After the ceremony he found me in the crowd. I'm proud of you, he said. I should have said that years ago. I'm saying it now. Thank you, I said. Diana was right to end things with me. I wasn't worthy of her. And I wasn't worthy of being your father. He paused. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be someone who deserves to be in your life. You're my father, I said. You're already in my life. The question is what kind of relationship we build from here. I'll take whatever you're willing to give me. We had lunch the next day. And the week after that. And slowly, carefully we started building something new. Not the relationship we'd had before Mom died. That was gone and we both knew it. But something different. Something based on seeing each other clearly. He started reading about architecture. He asked questions about my projects. He came to the groundbreaking ceremony for the affordable housing complex. He met Marcus and the rest of my team. He learned the language of my world because he wanted to understand it, not because he had to impress anyone. It was hard work. Some days I was still angry. Some days he said the wrong thing. But we kept showing up. A year after the Fitzgerald Building grand opening, Diana reached out. She'd made senior partner. She wanted to commission Morris and Associates for an expansion project. A second building to house the firm's growing environmental justice division. I'd like you to lead the design, she wrote. If you're comfortable working with me again. I was. The expansion project was even more ambitious than the first building. And this time when we met to discuss the vision she asked about my family, about my father, about whether things had gotten better. They're better, I said. Different but better. Good. He didn't deserve you, but maybe he'll grow into someone who does. The second building broke ground in spring. My father attended the ceremony. He stood with Marcus and my team watching the excavators begin their work and he looked proud. That Thanksgiving, the first Thanksgiving after the Fitzgerald Building opened, Dad called me in early October. I'm hosting Thanksgiving this year, he said. Just us. I'm cooking. And I'm probably going to ruin the turkey, but I'm trying. Will you come? What about Diana? I asked. She moved to Portland. Took a position with a firm there. We're friendly but we're not together. This is about us, Sarah. You and me. I thought about it for a long time. Okay, I said finally. I'll come. Thanksgiving came. He did ruin the turkey, it was dry as dust. But the mashed potatoes were good, and the pie was from a bakery neither of us had the skill to attempt. We sat at his dining table, the Bellevue skyline visible through the windows, and we talked. Really talked. He asked about my current projects. I told him about the affordable housing complex, about the challenges of designing sustainable buildings on a limited budget, about the community meetings where residents shared what they needed in their homes. He listened. He asked questions. He saw me. I missed so much, he said as we cleaned up. 16 years of your life. Your achievements. Your struggles. All of it. You can't get it back, I said. But you can be here now. I'm here, he said. I'm not going anywhere. We stood at his sink washing dishes together, and I realized this was what I'd wanted all along. Not grand gestures or dramatic apologies. Just this. Someone paying attention. Someone seeing who I actually was. The Fitzgerald Building stood downtown, its bronze plaque catching the city lights. My name. My achievement. My proof that I existed in the world as something more than someone's overlooked daughter. But here in my father's kitchen washing dishes and making awkward conversation, I found something the plaque couldn't give me. The beginning of being seen by someone who should have been looking all along. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. We still had years of work ahead of us, years of learning how to be family again. But it was a foundation. And as an architect I understood the importance of a solid foundation. Everything else we could build from there.